Hello, ladies. Happy Saturday. I am Katina Horton, the Love and Freedom Toxic Relationship Recovery Coach. And I want to talk about narcissists and subtlety of devaluation. A lot of times you will talk to your friends, ladies, and they'll say, well, I just don't understand how in the world you let him do this to you. You know, you should have been got out of that. And what happens a lot of times when that comes across, it has you feeling some kind of way inside because you realize it didn't just happen overnight. Okay, nothing takes place overnight. If we get ourselves caught up in sin, it's not overnight. Everything is a process. And so like the frog in boiling water type of thing, that's what goes on when you end up entering a relationship with a guy that's a narcissist, right? And so what happens is that there's a subtleness to it. Just like when Satan approached Eve in the Garden of Eden, the scripture mentions him as being subtle, right? He got into her head, right, and caused her to self-sabotage. And how was he able to do that? All he had to do was think that her manufacturer, right, gave her some defects. He did not provide her with all of the parts that she needed, so to speak, and that she needed to be like God, which in essence, God had already created her in his image. So she was already like God in that respect, right? She was an image bearer. He got her to think that there's some type of perceived nutritional deficiency in her family's love story garden, right? Thus, she self-sabotaged in thinking that the fruit was going to fulfill her with what it was she was not receiving. Same thing with Jonadab. This was David's nephew, okay? And which means he's his son Amnon's cousin. The scripture also mentions of him as being subtle. The scripture mentions Jonadab as being subtle, a subtle individual. What happens with subtle individuals? They come in, this is real cunning, real sneaky, right? They're real sly. And Jonadab comes up with this so-called perfect plan for Amnon to rape and violate his sister physically, right? And then emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, okay? And so that means that Amnon has some self-deception going on, right? All he needed to do, he already was walking around in the sickened, self-deceived state of thinking that he had to have his sister. Jonadab just came back and just watered that seed that was inside of Amnon's soul, okay? And then he pounced on it, okay? So now when it came to you, like I said, going back to the frog in boiling water, okay? It didn't happen overnight. Your partner dishonoring you was a frog in boiling water situation. It was step by step, little by little, very gradual. And it started off with him devaluing you by just you and him watching shows, relaxing at home. You thinking, hey, I'm with my bae, I'm with my boo. And then you're watching TV and he's making comments about the ladies that he sees on TV. Man, she look good. I know you look okay, but you don't look like that. She really got some stuff on her. And so you're sitting there and you're feeling some kind of way. And this type of thing, as far as comparing you to women on TV, this goes on for a little while. Then it gets bumped up, right? His game gets bumped up to comparing you to his colleagues and having you feel some type of way, right? Then the game gets bumped up a little bit more. And the next thing you know, he's talking about your hair. He's talking about your mama. He's talking about your makeup. He's telling you you dress too conservative. The list goes on and on and on. And so the next thing you know, your self-worth, if it was right here, is down at the floor by the time he's done, right? But then in order to be able to pick you up and reinforce the trauma bond, he's got to throw some breadcrumbs in there. So the breadcrumbs look like telling his mama or somebody else, my wife, she's all that in the bag of chips. She got a PhD. She got her own business. She is rocking it out, right? And then that's pumping you up, right? Making you feel good. You get those thrown in there. But then it starts right back again to where you're being dropped again and you're watching TV. He's talking about your hair. He's talking about your makeup. He's talking about your style of clothing. He's talking about the way you look. He's talking about some of the expressions on your face, any little thing to pick at you, right? And so this causes a spirit of confusion because you keep getting those breadcrumbs in there, taking you up to a high, right? And talking about all the good things you're doing, but then dropping you down to the low. All of that is reinforcing the trauma bond, reinforcing the soul tie, right? And it's keeping you locked into this state with him. So when they say, well, I don't understand how it happens, this is how it has happened. You were the frog in the boiling water who, after a while, you're on fire and you still cannot get out of the skillet. So I hope this helped. If you have any further information, go to thevalleyofgrace.com. Okay? That's thevalleyofgrace.com. And once again, I am the Love and Freedom Toxic Relationship Recovery Coach. Until next time.